All right, this is Professor Martin, and I'm going to be doing my very first instructional video for y'all in Intro to Printmaking, and I hope this helps you. So you come to class, and we're going to be doing a relief print, the first edition, and as you look at this image by a student, this is like looking through, her idea is a rear view mirror, looking at another car behind her, right? This is the mirror. Okay, so how does she think this way? And so what I want to do is get you to this point, and actually it's not very difficult. I'm going to show you some examples, some processes, how to do that, some techniques rather. And as well, I'm going to point out really what a relief print is, in that it only deals really with shape and line. So for this edition to be printed, this actually was the plate. And it's probably hard for you to see, but that's actually carved in there. So these lines right here, the black, are this, that's raised, okay? And so this is raised and that's that, okay? Because it does reverse. So after you transfer your image to your plate, and your image shows you everywhere it's going to be black and what's going to be white, you cut everything white. We roll your plate with ink, and on those high spots in black, then when we transfer it to the paper, and then we put it through the press, we pull this off, it looks like this. Okay, but how do you get there? That's probably the mystery right now. And it's a mystery because you usually don't think this way, okay? You don't think that way. So, if I'm going to sketch, when you're sketching, either with your little sketchbook or your iPad, whatever, you know, you're using a pencil, right? So I'm just going to start laying in something that I'd want to, something real quick. I'd want to maybe investigate. Here's a little pot, it's on a table. And here's this, so I'm going to shade this, right? So I'm going to do some shading like that, okay? Here's sort of my shadow, so I'll do like this, okay? But how do you take that, and that will probably be dark behind it, whatever. This is just a sketch. How do you take that and move to something like this? Okay? For example, that's where we're going. Well, the easiest way to show you that is to show you that all I have to do is take a Sharpie with this drawing. And if I only see shape and line, shape, 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 right? And then I hatch, and I'd be hatching, let's see, this way maybe. You see, I'm creating that shadow. Here is, that's the dark side of that cup. Here's the shadow. So it's real simple. What I'm saying is, you have to think about taking your drawing or your image, and you got to think about using a Sharpie or taking it to, pen and ink. That's what's confusing for you. Now, this is what I want to show you. A relief print is really two things: shape and line to create a designer composition. And line, we use line to create shade as well as texture. Okay? So let's take this idea of shape. Let me see what I have here. Just got student prints. So when we're talking about shape, what are we really talking about? Negative and positive shapes. So this is dark, it's going to come forward, so that's foreground, that's background. So I'm going to put some smaller units in this design so it looks like it's further away. And so right now we have this very simple ideation of just shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes, 5 shapes on a white background. It's that simple. Okay? But what I can also do is, if I want a white shape in here, when I'm ideating, I just will get a whiteout pen and draw that in there. Let me see if I have one. Got this. Well, this is really large, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. So what I want to do is, I just want to look at shape. Just take this and look at shape. What this student has done. Okay, shape. 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 And all this is line to create tone or texture. And so with this student, big shape, the hair, that he's going in with some line work. Because what's different about relief printing is when I drew that picture of the little cup, right? You're drawing those black lines, right? Yeah. So you don't think about drawing like this, white lines in black, but we'll get to that too. I just want to look at shape. And here's a nice print. And this shows you, I think, that the student, you see, it doesn't have to be representational. It can be design. This is nice because she has this square shape. She's got this shape. She's got the white shape, just that these shapes have texture or tone on it. And so that's a nice image. Okay? Whereas this student, she has line and shape. Here she has shape, shape, and then all this is line, and here's shape coming in. All this is line work, you know, as if she had drawn it, okay? So that's a different approach. This student, big shape to bounce this composition. I'm going to talk about how she got to that in a minute. So that's shape. Relief is shape and line. So let's talk about line. So when we talk about line, right, you've got to think about line this way. First of all, a line has a quality. Is it a diagrammatic, where all the width of the line is the same? Is it sort of geometric, or does it become organic? As well, it gets thick and thin. So the quality of line, like on this one, look what she did. Thick and thin, thick and thin. Here it's pretty much the same. Thick and thin, okay, line. And so look, students, this is how you create tone or shade with hatching, right? So here is a little cylinder, and then the closer my lines are with the Sharpie, the darker that looks. The further the lines are apart, it looks lighter. So that's how we create form. So here I took a thick Sharpie and drew those real quick. And then here I've got a little fine Sharpie. So you've got some variances in line quality here, thick and thin. Here thick, then I went thin. There's no line there, that's implied shape. So you see, that's how you create tone with line. And this is a good example on this one. Look at that. So here, her line work, first of all, she's following that snake, you see? Going over. But look at the delicate lines, and then she opens it up, okay? Here she leaves dark, she comes in. And so this is an excellent example of how she's creating form by the line is following the roundness of that sort of snake body, okay? All right. So when I say shade or tone, it's not white and it's not black. So it's sort of, we would say, a gray area, right? Gray, meaning it's not black. So that's mid-range, okay? And also this is texture. It results in texture. I think this is a good example too of shape, very simple. Notice he cuts this out and he's got, this is black, so he's cutting to the block to get the white lines. So you don't think white lines. You don't think that way. But I'll show you what you can do with the Sharpie to think that way on a copy. So this is nice also. Not only is this a dark shape with some value of the lines, then he's got this shape of this little outfit, but notice the lines create this light gray quality, okay? So you're balancing shape. Here's a shape, or is that a line? Shape, shape, shape. Bigger shape, this is shape, shape, and line. That's all you're using, okay? Now, also though, a relief, because you don't think about white because you're drawing with a pencil or a pen. If you have a dark area that you want to go in and put white lines like this, okay? Like that. So I'm going to show you an example of that as well and how to do that. So here she just had a dark shape and then she went in and cut the white lines out, okay? She did like a reversal. Here the lines are positive, here the lines become negative. So this is a nice study in design. Very simple, but it's a nice design. So I'm talking about this. So here is an example of, hold on. Here is an example of, it's under here, yes. So here is the student's print right here. Right? And so this is in an earlier stage, okay? So he Xeroxed this. He went to the copy machine, he proofed his plate, and then he ran a copy, okay? And so here is the copy, all right? So when you get a copy like this, then you can ideate on the copy. Meaning, you have that and you say, okay, that's what's in my plate. And maybe you should have left dark here. Maybe you wanted some teeth there. I don't know. But you can't go back and add what you've cut out. But let's just say that he wants more light, more line in the hair. And so that's when you just take a Sharpie, white Sharpie, and you draw those white lines on there. Let me see if I have something real quick. I doubt it. Let me see if this will. But what I have in the room are some whiteout pens, right? So you can take this copy to work off of and work your drawing more. Maybe he says, you know, this is a little big shape here. I need to go back in. And I'm drawing on the copy with this white Prismacolor. I'm going to go back into the plate where this is printing a solid black and cut these lines out. So then you are changing your plate around, which you can. You can always cut away, but you can't add to it. So these are really good tools too for you to, and they're in the classroom, but you probably should get a whiteout pen. That would be good. Okay, so line. That's all you're dealing with. Line, shape. Notice here how on her print, it's really, there are no white lines. She didn't go into this dark area and draw lines. She did a little bit there. This student only went with these shapes, and then everything else was like an ink drawing, okay? So she wanted it that way. But just remember, when you have a form that's rounded, you're hatching. I would avoid cross-hatching. Your hatching needs to go with the form, okay, because it's rounded. If you take that form, like this little cup thing, and you go flat, you're not following the form. It flattens it. You need to follow the form, okay? Like that. Okay. So, shape and line. Shape and line. Now, let's talk about some ways that the students have ideated, okay? Let's talk about that real quick. Now, this first one, this is her drawing. This is her sketch. And she's a graphic designer down in Florida. And so she sketched that out. Notice this is some really important points here. Please notice her delicate lines. And then these lines, are they lines or shapes? They're really big. So she's using a nice mixture of line quality, nicely balanced, and she has this silhouette here, okay? So she ideated. We blew it up on the copy machine, transferred that image to her block, and this is what it resulted in, okay? So as you can see, once she got to the plate, she changed them. This was like black, and then she went in and put white lines, okay? So she went in and changed some things from here, which is good, okay? And instead of here, this is all black, because remember, the plate is solid. You cut your white lines. So this was black, so she just went in and cut those lines, okay? So when you ideate, you have to have Sharpie or ink to break it down into shape and line to create tone or shade, okay? All right. So that's a good example there of her. She just sketched it out. Now here's an example of a student that did this drawing. Maybe from a photo, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But as you can see, this is in she just did pencil, everything's middle gray, no contrast, no dark to light, okay? And there's no shade. So if you have a drawing, you start there, then she transferred that to some copy, from the copy machine, and to this size, and then she had several copies. Then she took her Sharpies and she went in and did all her line work. She experimented and created these different line quality, and look at the difference, okay? Yep. And then the print looks like this. Looks like I squished it. See, the print is even larger. So then the print ends up like this on rice paper, okay? So you understand? This is her ideating, but she didn't do all that. She switched up. Like here, she outlined it on the plate, but she started here, okay? You start here with a drawing, and then you have to think, okay, I've got to break this down into shape and line to create shade, and I'm using the white of the paper and the black of the ink for contrast, okay? So that's pretty simple. So what you can do is make a couple of copies of this. If you mess up, then you can go and start again. You don't work off your original drawing, okay? And again, when you ideate, before you get to the plate, you can go in here, and you can always go in and say, okay, I want more line here. You know, you change it, okay? Okay, good. Now, this is a print by the same artist that did the first one, looking into the car window, okay? So as you look at this print, look what we have. Shape, great composition. Composition is everything. And then she has this door handle. Notice she leaves that white, she comes in. Here the line is black, but then she goes into the black area and reverses it and makes the white, okay? Here the line is black, and then she goes into the black area and brings that line work in by cutting it out. So how did she get to that point? And she works from photographs. So let me show you how she did this. First, Shawnee took images with her camera of, I guess she liked the reflection in the door handle. So she went and took pictures of door handles with her hand. And you see she went with this one, reaching for the door handle. You see that? Okay. So she printed this in color. It was a little larger. I just don't have it. Now, this is black and white, right? We're not using color. That's a whole different scenario. We're using black and white, so it's very simple. She took this to the copier or in Photoshop, printed it in black and white, this. Then she went into this with her Sharpie and started working out this detail like this, okay? That's what she did. So she had to understand how she wanted to, she got this far, and then she probably used the curve tool in Photoshop and reduced it to black and white, and then you're ready to transfer to the plate, because this is what her drawing looked like in Sharpie, okay? She had all this detail worked out. You got to work it out on your design. Once you have your design completely worked out, we transfer it to your plate, and then you just cut out what's white. That's what we did. I hope that helps you. I want to show you one more image, and this is an image using, this was a two color plate, but this is the one color. This is a student that used the app that I shared with you, Adobe Capture. And then he just didn't carve all this out. He went in and took some liberties about leaving some areas with tone on it instead of clearing it all so it was white. And this creates some beautiful texture. Now, what is different, and line quality is nice too, wide line, thin line. Nice shape here to balance this. What's nice about this is you can go in and also alter it. If you used generative AI and said, African American young male, window behind him as a woodcut, you see, you wouldn't have this line variety. The lines, pull it up and see for yourself. The lines would all be the same width. You wouldn't have this background foreground. So that's the limitation with that app. But it's not to say you can't use it as a starting point. Okay? So I hope that helps you get started. And what we're going to do is we'll look at your drawings. And then again, you have to take your drawing and with your Sharpie or whatever you're using, focus on shape and line. And when we say this, when I think about shape, I can think a lot of things like the size of the shape, the proportions, negative to positive. We're talking about design. So here are your two elements of art, and then your design principles, repetition, variety, balance, all that comes into play, as well as with the line quality and line to create tone. So the key is in using a Sharpie and ideating in black and white. So I hope that helps you. And I look forward to working with you on this project.